Hello. Scrambling around. Hi, everybody. I'm going to get my blanket on. It is chilly. It is chilly here in Saranda. Today, it's rainy. We learned today that it is the rainy season here. So we've had a couple of days of rain, and it's really interesting because, let me turn around, like the sky goes down into the ocean. Like you can't see anything out there, and it's been an ominous kind of day. Good morning, Jessica. Welcome. And Bud and I walked down to town we wanted to try to find some more goodies to put on our garden wall that we're making. I say we, like I'm just managing it. He's really making it. But we got caught in the rain really good. So my hair is a little crazy at the moment because I just let it air dry. But today is a really, really interesting, energetic day. Let's see, Isabel, present, need some light and love to go on today. Things are hard in Canada. Yes, all eyes are on Canada. For sure. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening. Of course, we've got the Freedom Convoy, the truckers. And then we have what's happening now with them shutting down access to their money, and the government is starting to get a little worried. So it's interesting that all eyes are on Canada, and at the same time, we have to be watching what is happening in the U.S. The U.S. is next. If you haven't already looked it up, the Pluto Return is an astrological, that's the word I was looking for, event that is happening. It starts on February 22nd, but it's like a 2-year cycle. I'm not going to go because I'm not astrology. I keep up. I know enough of to be dangerous, but I don't know all the things. So I don't want to talk from a place that I don't know, but I do know enough to pay attention to the energies of astrology, because universal wisdom are the packets of light that flow through the universe, through the cosmos, into our planet, and into our consciousness. Therefore, any energy that passes through the cosmos is then passed on to us. That's what universal wisdom is. And with the energies of the next couple of years coming through this passageway into our planet, the United States, especially because of its astrological birth chart, so to speak, if we remember that it was the U.S. officially what became the U.S. in 1776. So Pluto Returns is an astrological event that happens every, like 275 years? Wait, is that what it is? Oh, shoot, hold on. I want to make sure I say the right things, or not the right things, but have the right information. Sorry. Of course, I don't have my glasses on either. Anyway, okay. I'm not going to give the dates. However, it is a pretty significant event that we need to be watching, because what's going to be happening in the U.S. in the next couple of years is going to be quite shocking to our systems. Because I'm going to just read, this is from foreverconscious.com. This is an article about the Pluto Returns. I was just reading into it, but I would highly recommend going into and reading it. We will be forced to look back to see whether the original intention set for this country is still being upheld, or if anything needs to change. I think we know that there's a lot that needs to change. We have seen a lot of the upheaval. We have seen a lot of darkness exposed. We have seen that we've gotten very much off track from the original the original Declaration of Independence. We are no longer sovereign beings. Our rights have been taken away from us in a very subtle and convoluted way. So there's going to be a lot of things. This is this energy, but the Pluto return is like the dark night of the soul of the country. It challenges the US to face up to its dark side and to expose any corruption. We have to remedy the past so we can create a brighter future. We are all doing that in this ascension process, right? We are all remedying our own pasts, our own decisions, our own energies, where we have put our energies, where we have manipulated ourselves, where we have corrupted our operate our spiritual operating systems. That ascension process is taking us through that process. It's also taking the whole entire global realm into that same ascension process. And on top of that, then we have Pluto return that's now going to be engulfing energetically the United States in its own consciousness. So there's going to be a lot of upheaval. So all eyes are on Canada at the moment, but there's this underlying current of interest. And also, there's another word. It's not ominous, but it's going to be interesting to watch how this unfolds. So that comes into the energy of where we are right now. We've been kind of called to pause and chill out a little bit and listen. Today was a day where it felt the weather, yes, but everything like logically comes together when we pay attention to the energy. We can then kind of use our five senses, our five human senses, to then tap into and make connections with that energy. And today has felt, it's kind of tuning in this morning, and I kept getting like, you're not going to get much more information right now. And what that means is universal education, so to speak. The education is what when we have contact, open contact, we will have spurts of knowledge that is communicated to us in our individual consciousness of understanding, so that we can not start, but so that we are connected, right? We're connected in that universal way with our guides, our teams. And we are going to have a little bit of a hiatus for a few days. I almost feel like it's going to be like a week or something around that. It's not going to be months. It's going to be just a pause, so that we can allow this chill session is so we can allow everything that we have learned to permeate into our consciousness and become the set operating system. And I was reminded, and it was interesting because I don't really I don't ever watch these daily tune ins. I don't go back. I don't really look at much that I have ever done. But today I was led to just do something on my YouTube channel. And I saw a video from almost exactly last year. It was on February 27th of last year. And that's when Bud and I, we were still in Austin. We were still, we were going through like the purging of our things. And quite frankly, when I recorded the video, it was before I knew that my kids weren't going to be on this journey, so to speak, on this part of the journey, I want to say. And I paused when I saw the video because I was like, oh my God, I felt so bad for myself. I looked so tired. And I remember being very tired. So I was listening to it. I listened to about half of it. And I could not believe like some of the words that I was saying in at that point was like, just I could feel the doubt in my mind, but also I could feel the knowing of what I was doing. Because at that point, this time last year, I had many people giving me their opinions, and some were not very kind in their opinions of what Bud and I were doing and what we had decided to do. And it was a very tumultuous time, because not only were we dismantling our life, that was good. It was really good. And not only was it very stressful because we weren't really sure where we were going and what we were doing, but we were acting and moving forward on a deep inner feeling of this is the journey. We have to do this. but it made no sense. And I was so tired doing this video. But what I came to understand in why I was led to watch that is to pause and use discernment in how far I've come, and how much growth has taken place in that year. And not only that, if I could have whispered into my ear at that point and said, Badat, in a year you're going to be in the place and you're going to be building back up. I was dismantling all the way down, and we had that low, that really low dissension phase. Bud and I had a really low dissension phase in those days in Ukraine, and even in Mexico before that. And now we get to build back up, and we get to start choosing with discernment what we allow into our lives, who we allow into our lives. We get to rebuild. We get to choose what comes into our home. We get to, everything gets to be rebuilt now. So we're on the other side of where I was in that video. But in that video, the poor girl was just beaten up. And it didn't get better. It didn't get much better from that point. And the only reason why I say that is if you are at a low point, and we are in this energy where we are being guided to just chill for a second, so that we can not only just integrate everything that we've learned, but there is a pause in education sometimes. So the education is when we open our minds and invite in wisdom. Indoctrination is when we have to sit and be given information that we are supposed to learn and we are told what to learn. That's indoctrination. Education was created, or is a thing, where you open up and you receive the knowledge that is yours to receive. And we do that through our communication. And sometimes, just like, in school, you get a summer break just to like chill for a minute. This is our break time. This is like, think of this as our spring break or our February break, because we all need a moment to simply look to see how far we've come. And as we do that, allow everything that we have learned to settle in, because we are moving into, especially in the US, we are moving into a place, a tumultuous time that is already starting, but it's going to be getting more and more tumultuous. It's for our favor. It's to dismantle, like everything is kind of dismantling, but it's going to be the activity and the action that comes to reset all of those parts of our government, of our country, that has been deceptive, that has been corrupted. You have been through that process, and you are continuing to go through that process. And I've been through that process. We know how unsettling it is, right? We know how unsettling it is to take our corrupted operating systems of consciousness and reset them. So we have been on the forefront. We in this community have been on the forefront of updating our consciousness so that we understand this process. So now, before we are called into action to support all of the people who are going to see things happening in Canada, all over the world, really, but especially for those of us who are mostly in the US, when all of this goes down in like a way that can no longer be ignored, and when disclosure of many things becomes mainstream at this point, it cannot be denied, and it has to be rebuilt and recreated. Many people are going to have to then go through the update of the operating system in a really fast way. We've been able to do it in our own time frame, aided, actually, I take that back, kind of in our own way, but we've also been fueled by the extra energies that we've gotten in this past year to get us into a higher consciousness. So we are being asked to pause, to look at how far we've come, look at the pathway. What have you gone through? What have you learned about yourself? What have you Where have you gone with your holy breath? Like, I want to go back to that holy breath thing, because at this point, every question, every situation, every person in your life has to. What's my question that I put? Is the person, hold on, I wrote something down. Is this event or person qualified to receive the value of my holy breath? So in this time where you are not going to be getting new knowledge and inundated with new knowledge, because we're going to have a little bit of a break to catch our breath, to pause, to use discernment, and whatever lasting things are, any challenges you have, whether it's a person, a job, a situation, a circumstance, whatever it is, this is when you have to start discerning. Do you need this person in your life? Whoa, did you see that lightning? There's a cool thunderstorm going on. And at that point, that's when you ask, is this person, is this situation worth, and it's not a worth, like, are they worthy of the value of my holy breath? And it's not that somebody is worthy or not. It's not for you to, it's just, do I need to put a boundary up in these next few days, in this next week? Because you're going to have a little bit of a break. You're still going to be getting updated. You're still going to be readied, so to speak, energetically, but it's just not going to feel as intense of like understandings and new knowledge. You've got what you need at this point, so that's going to settle in. But this is where you have to clear your plate. You have got to clear your plate of anything that is not seeing the value in your holy breath, in your time, in your energy, in your attention. So all of those things, or maybe that one thing or that one person that just keeps lingering because you kind of don't want to deal with it, it's time. It is time to do that, because you are now way too valuable in consciousness, and you are needed in consciousness. You are going to be needed to pull and hold the line, to pull the weight, so to speak, of consciousness as we go through many changes in our world, and especially in the US. I hope this is making sense. So it's going to be like a two-sided pause or break that we're kind of dealing with right now. Not dealing with it, but that we're opening to. The pause is going to be not only to just for me, I don't really have much to have to deal with. Like, I feel like I've gotten through a lot of stuff, and I'm this is the pause where I'm just resting. I mean, look at me. I'm resting in peace at this point. For those who might still have some things hanging on, you're going to get a pause from like additional, education of consciousness, so that you can actually really use this time, this quiet, to discern what is it that is worth. I hate using that word. There's a different word I want, but what is it that is, I'm going to say it though, worth your breath, your holy breath. And if there is something that is not up to equal value of your attention, it is time to do something about it. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying over here. Hi, Kazembe, Brenna, good morning. Oh, your curly hair is beautiful. Thank you. It's wild and crazy because I had my hood up, so this part was all out, so this got all wet, and it's doing its thing every 248 years. Thank you, Terry. I thought it was 250. I couldn't do that math quickly enough. I don't do math very well. What's happening with Justin Trudeau is part of the divine plan. Hold the light. That circus ring feels harsh, but it's going to play out to assist and more to awaken. I agree, Lisa, and I think Justin. It's oh gosh, it's perfect. because he is, he's kind of, all when I say all eyes are on him, it's not only us kind of watching, it's not only just like the public eye, but it's global leaders who are really afraid, who have played the game, the government, the politician game, like he has, who have taken advantage of their space, who have turned to some pretty radical uh, political leadership. There's a lot of leaders that are a little bit afraid at the moment, and they're watching what happens with Justin Trudeau, because this is, Canada is energetically and in consciousness. Canada is the first big power play of how all of this change and transition goes down globally. So him and his cohorts in all different political games in political countries, they're nervous, they're worried, because there's been a lot of leaders that I'm going to say manipulative or deceptive leaders that have played the game very much like him, and they're watching. There's going to be a lot of ripple effects from this, and then it's going to turn to the US, because the US is getting prepared for some really big changes in the financial systems, in political systems. Big pharma is tumbling fast. There's so much disclosure happening. There are so many whistleblowers coming out at this point. With the whole narrative that's been happening for the last 2 years, there's a lot more evidence that things that go in our bodies are not what they were intended to, or not intended. They were intended to be something far different than the narrative led us to believe. So there's going to be a lot of upheaval, and it is going to put many who are still unconscious, and kind of going through Sleepyville a little bit, and like, there's going to be a lot of those people who are in full on shock as to what's been happening right under our noses. Many of you already know, you've had the feeling. We are going to start getting the evidence of everything that many of us have already kind of known was going on. What's happening? Let's see. That's what my crew has sort of been saying, not saying. So random and scattered. I've been having a lot of thoughts about how far I've come this week too. I'm a completely different person from 2 years ago. It's so beautiful to look back and realize that. And that's it, Tara. Thank you. Like, I want to come back to that point. Thank you for saying that. Because, the whole adage of, like, especially for those of us, I'm going to go down to the floor. I feel like I want to be on the floor. For many of us who are like, have been on this journey is kind of like addictive, the spiritual journey, or the consciousness, whatever name you want to give it. Once we kind of get into it, we just want to keep going. We want to explore more. We want to see from higher perspectives. And then we get to a perspective where we're like, holy crap, it was a hard climb, but now that I'm here, this is amazing. And I want to go up even further. So then we chew off the next, to the next base camp, so to speak. I call them base camps, like when you climb Everest, you go up a few, I don't know how far. Like, I've never climbed Everest, but I've seen a lot of documentaries. But you climb up, and then you get to the base camp, so you can acclimate to the air. The spiritual journey is like that. We climb to the next level of consciousness, and we hold there for a minute and acclimate. But because it's such an expansive experience, that sometimes we can get I say we, and I speak from my own experience, we get addicted to keep going and keep going and keep going. Like, I keep reminding myself, now that I'm here and I'm at a place of peace, just to chill out for a minute too, like to really take this guidance that we're getting and take advantage of just chilling, because I too can get into the place of continuously moving the bar. But if we pause and then look at our perspective and how far we've come, we will see that just in the course of 2 years, just in the course of a week at this point, the energies are so big and the growth is so expansive now, that just from 1 week to the next, It's like, holy crap. Last week, I had a couple of days when I did that weird daily tune in on that. I think it was last Monday, a week ago Monday. Um, Doing that and then the next day coming in and doing the daily tune in, I felt like a completely different person. I was like, who, like, I don't even know who I was yesterday. So this growth is so fast now. It's so fast that we have to be able to discern on our own rather than waiting to get guidance that it's time to take a pause. We have to discern for ourselves sometimes when it's time to pause and tell our, like, let our teams know, hey man, I'm going on vacation for a little bit, whatever that means, whether it's a vacation for a day, a half a day, a week, whatever the time frame is. We don't really have to give it linear time, but there have been a lot of days in these last couple of weeks. I know I've mentioned it here where I'm like, okay, y'all, I gotta you got to give me a second. I have to integrate. There's been so much growth that the integration phase is easily missed, as easily moved through, rather than consciously choosing the time to integrate, to pause, integrate, and really take a look at your growth. That's when we can celebrate. We have got to be good about celebrating. So maybe actually what the message is in this pause to celebrate how far you've come. What's the latest? I'm so excited for what is to come in the US. I am too, Brenna. Like, it's time. We need these changes, and I think we've been prepared energetically by our teams, by higher consciousness that has been guiding us to grow and to see. That's why we've had to see more and more through consciousness. We had to get to the point of understanding and seeing much of the corruption and manipulation ourselves, so it wouldn't be such a shock. And that's why this mass awakening has happened the way it has. It's quite fascinating to watch it all unfold in the movie of reality, because I'm understanding it more and more. But I also have people in my life who are completely oblivious to, and I know we've all talked about it. We are completely oblivious to everything, and they're like, what, this is just how it is. And when truths are revealed, and however they're going to be revealed, it's going to be shocking to the system. So I can see how we're going to have these two. The split is going to be even more obvious. The split, not decisiveness, but the split between the realities. The 4 and 5D realities versus, not versus, and the 3D reality. So those who have ascended into higher realms of consciousness are going to see it and be like, whoa, that's how it's coming out. And oh my gosh, we're going to be able to sit back and kind of watch it unfold, knowing where we're going. We are going to a higher expression of reality, but we have to go through this dismantling phase, which I think, again, is why I was led by my team to watch that video again, of me in my own personal dismantling phase, to remember how painful it was and how lonely it was. Because in this 3D realm, when their world gets shifted really fast, and like the carpet's pulled out from under their feet, they're going to be in that same place all of a sudden. Like, all of a sudden, lives are going to be in that dismantling phase, and people are going to be freaking the hell out. And that's when we have the arms, the strength, the consciousness to hold the 3D realm in our consciousness, to help move them into the higher perspectives if they are willing, remembering that some won't, some will not. Their souls have chosen not to ascend. Their souls have chosen the pathway that they're on, and many will not ascend. And I don't want to say that to instill fear. It's just a reality. It's just where we are. And when we approach life from a soul space, from a place of spiritual evolution, then death becomes a different consciousness altogether. It's not, it could be physical death, but it's an evolution of that soul, and they go on to find another way to evolve. So it's not this thing that we have been conditioned to fear. And yes, there's grief, but it's just it's a completely different facet of life from the spiritual realms of consciousness. Love thunderstorms. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's pretty cool. It's moving through. I've been so protective of my mental and spiritual energy, the value of my holy breath. I know we are all going to be needed soon. Yeah, we are, Brenna. And Brenna, it's funny. Bud and I went to lunch today, and you popped into my head. And being a hairstylist, on our last call in the Ascension Bank, we were talking about how, I think Carly mentioned, having your hands on people's, in the crown chakra area. And randomly today, it popped up in my mind when we were eating lunch, and, like, what a gift. Like, I know it's hard because you were talking about having to have conversations with clients and being a hairstylist. And in this time of life, like, there's so many different perceptions, and there's so much energy involved in being a hairstylist. And what came to me today was like, what a beautiful gift, however, that through your holy breath, and it doesn't even have to be words, it can simply just be through our presence and your hands on someone's head, like how much of a blessing you can bring to people simply by being conscientious of your holy breath goes into your hands and through your hands, and blessing people with, you don't want to, like, obviously we don't want to do energy work without having permission, but we can certainly give blessings of illumined wisdom, or whatever it is, to just bless people. So random thought in this daily tune in, but I wanted you to know, Brenna, that you came to my mind, and like this, the idea of having hands on someone's crown chakra, and in the back of their head where their pineal gland is, back here, and like how much power you have to use in a beautiful and gifted way, by doing what you're doing. So so ready for big pharma to be exposed. Me too, Christine. That it has been a corrupt. I've seen it for so long now, but I didn't have evidence. I couldn't understand, like, I couldn't communicate it. I've just known it. But when all of this started, it was obvious as hell to me. And I look forward to them, quite frankly, getting what they deserve, whatever that looks like. It's not for me to decide, but it's time for people. There have been a lot of people that have been, addicted through big pharma. Like, it's just a big old drug cartel. It's been a drug cartel for many, many, many years, and it has been deceptive all to as high of a level that I can, accept. I just can't accept it. Sorry, I'm having a hard time. So I just get so it's what's one of my soapbox, big pharma, and how they have been able to manipulate and deceive people. You turn on a TV and all you see is pharmaceutical commercial after another, and it's just like, but it's like war against drugs. Like, you guys are the biggest drug cartel out there. Like, what are we talking about? Oh my gosh, Switzerland drops almost all restrictions by tomorrow. I saw that too. I just saw that earlier. I shine my light so truth will be disclosed. Yes, Switzerland, the Netherlands, I saw, are dropping all of their stuff just like that. All of a sudden, COVID's over, which is fine with me, but it's interesting because, I mean, pay attention to you guys, pay attention to how all this is unfolding. Like, all of a sudden there's all these mandates. Just weeks ago, you could barely go anywhere in Europe. That's why we ended up here. It's because, like, we were like, who has the least restrictions? Albania is like, it doesn't even exist here. Like, it doesn't exist here. But now all of a sudden, just like that, everything is dropping because the next thing is coming. The next thing is coming. So, even with Trudeau putting out the emergency plan. Sorry, I don't have the right word, the correct words, but they couldn't pass it right away because there wasn't enough evidence to show that the emergency plan could be initiated. And first thing I told my husband was, that's the false flag. Like that's right there. That's evidence that there could be a false flag to make the truckers look like they are a threat, so that then all of a sudden they have to put that emergency plan into place. So there, it is ideal. The environment is ideal right now all around the world, Russia and Ukraine and Canada, for false flag events to be triggered, to put people into fear. COVID's kind of, that narrative's moving out. People are kind of over it. They're like, we get that, like we're over it. But now the next thing has to fall for people to be held in fear by the deceptive globalists who want to keep control. And they keep control through mass psychological manipulation and fear. So keep your eyes open. And when new headlines come out, that's when the discernment of how far you've come, what have you already seen, what have you already known, what have you already realized, what do you see from a higher perspective, that discernment is going to be yours and ours to hold before we react or respond to anything that goes on in, globally. We have to take a step back. That is for us. That is our role, to take a step back and say, hold on a second. Who is, where is the money going? Who has the advantage here? Who has the control here? And really start taking these pieces apart so that we can really discern if something is a false flag or if it is a true disaster of some sort. That is how this discernment, and especially in the US, is going to unfold in the rest of this year and into next year. Yesterday, I was also thinking about where I was a year ago, and it was not pretty at all. And then I realized how far I've come. Yeah, Laura, it hasn't been a pretty year. Like it was when I saw myself a year ago. I was like, oh man, that was not a pretty time. And I was like, I wish I could tell myself I was going to get better anytime soon, but it didn't. But now it is. A year later, I've kind of come to a realization that a year is like, whoa, oh, yo, the biggest streak of lightning just went across the sky. Look at that. Like the sky's kind of opening up, and it went sideways. It was like a streak of lightning. Sorry. Like it was really cool. I wish you could have seen it because it was kind of biblical the way it just looked. But yeah, a year. What? Oh yeah. Sit out here, honey. It's good stuff. Okay, I'm almost done anyway. There are no coincidences. The timing of all things globally is quite entertaining if you're paying attention. It really is, Tara. It's like, it's fascinating to pay attention to all of this. Brenda says, Lisa, I struggle at times. Have her protectors. Oh wait, what did I miss with Lisa? Oh, I'm going to share this with a soul sister who is a cranial therapist along with a hairdresser. She is having a tough time this week and sends this along with sending love. Will assist her. Yeah, and struggle. And I want to see what Brenna, you said. I struggle at times. Brenna is the hairstylist, y'all. Have her protect herself with white light and also cleanse her space after clients leave. I also added crystals to my salon space to block negativity. Yeah, so not only is that crown area so very powerful, but also it holds a lot of energy. So yeah, Brenna, great advice back, or feedback back to Lisa. Jay Marcus says Justin Trudeau is definitely going down and he's sick with COVID. God has a sense of humor for sure. Yeah. I don't know if he did or not. I saw that he was, whatever, got tested and was positive. If I could send picture, the sun just managed a small hole in the clouds on this very dark winter day. Thank you all. That's awesome. Like it just came out here too. I'm just like, seriously, like bud just came out. Like, honey, yeah. Like it's pouring. It's still pouring rain. The sun's out, and this lightning bolt just went straight across the sky. It was like straight across. Brenna, I know she does all the clearing. I think the relationship with the family is the trigger. Oh, exactly. Okay, so that's everything. That's kind of where we're at. We're kind of like at a hiatus, or like we literally got the word pause the other day, but there's depths to this pause. So there was the pause to just chill and listen. Then there's the pause to then go deeper, to really look at, like, kind of start organizing all of the growth that you've been through. Now it's kind of weird. So there's the pause to just go through all of the growth that you've been through, to look at your journey in these last couple of months, weeks, days, see how far you've come. Really start to, and this is to build confidence in what you know, build confidence in who you are and who you've become. Because when you are called into action, whenever that is, whether you're going into work to do someone's hair, whether you're going into an office, whether you're going to be a mom, when you are called into action in this higher consciousness, you have to be confident with what you know, because your knowing is the education that's coming from, from the cosmos, from your teams at this point. And we have got to step into the confidence that knowing without knowing how you know is just as important as knowing something from a textbook or from a teacher, or from something that you've learned that you can quantify. You can say, oh, I learned this because I went to school, I went to I got an education. You have gotten a completely different education from all of those light packets of energy that have flowed through you in these last couple of years, especially the last year and the last months. So all of that knowledge now, it's going to be put into use even more so than ever before in this like these next couple of months and into the next few years. And you have got to have confidence in it, that the knowing is legit, that you are legit in what you know from your teams, which you have never been taught to listen to. You have never been formally taught to understand. You've actually been taught to fear it. You have actually been taught that it's not, not right, that it's a sin, whatever the terminology is. We have been steered away and educated and conditioned out of this kind of education, when this is the actual education that we were meant to have, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. So learn that you have the confidence, not learn, integrate, that you have the confidence to be this beacon of light that's going to be called into action. You probably are already in action, actually, but especially in these upcoming weeks and months, and especially if you're in the US. So that's what I've got for you today. For those of you in the Ascension Bank, we'll be back on here in a little bit for our weekly Ascension circle. I look forward to it. This is my favorite thing. I like doing this with you guys. But for those of you who aren't members, you can. We have a actual circle, is via Zoom, that we have conversation. People share their experiences, what's going on. We hold them in support, and it's a beautiful circle. It's a beautiful time to come together. And that's really where our community comes together and surrounds each other. So if you are not a member, I would love to have you be a member. Come into our circle. You get full access to all the archives. It's $22 a month. It's a donation for your growth and your higher consciousness, and having a soul family who understands. And you can come in and talk your weird, and we will love it, and we will support it, and we will hold you in our circle. So I hope to see more of you come into the Ascension Bank and join our circle. But for anyone else, I look forward to seeing you guys. And for Liza, I know she's not here, but she is a member. It is her birthday today. So Liza, when you watch this daily tune in, I want to wish you a very special happy birthday, lady. Mwah. Talk to you all in a little bit. Bye.